Southern 630 is a KS1 class 280 consolidation type steam locomotive built at the American Locomotive Company in February 1904 for use on the Southern Railway. When constructed new in 1904, 630 was originally equipped with Stephenson valve gear, sliding valves, and a saturated boiler. In 1911, the locomotive was later upgraded with Southern valve gear, piston valves, and the boiler was equipped with superheaters. With these new upgrades added, 630 was reclassified as a KS locomotive. It had more upgrades added, such as new cylinders and valve assemblies, which allowed the locomotive to develop 46,700 pounds of tractive effort, and was reclassified again as a KS1 type. 630 was first put into local and branch line service in Knoxville, Tennessee by the Southern before it was moved to Asheville, North Carolina to run on the Murphy and Lake Toxaway branch lines until she was retired from revenue service in August 1952. Following retirement by the Southern, 630 and sister locomotive 722 were both sold to the East Tennessee and Western North Carolina Railroad, nicknamed the Tweetsie, in November 1952, and renumbered as 207 and 208 respectively. Originally, the Tweetsie offered KS1's number 685 and 835 from the Southern, but chose the formers instead due to the latters being stored outside in very poor condition. After the Tweetsie's purchasement, Southern cut down the size of the two KS1 locomotives' tender coal bunker to make sure that it would be easier for the engineer to get a better view during numerous switching moves and reverse operations. In late 1967, 207 and 208 were both traded back to the Southern Railway for use in their steam excursion program, in return for a pair of former Central of Georgia Alco RS3s. 630 had been given minor repairs and began excursion service in February 1968, while 722 had its firebox repaired and returned to operating service in August 1970. 630 and 722 pulled many excursion trains for the Southern steam program, alongside Southern 4501 and Savannah and Atlantic 750. 630 and 722 were both loaned to the Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum in 1978 and 1980, respectively, to make way for larger steam locomotives such as Canadian Pacific 2839, Texas and Pacific 610, and Chesapeake and Ohio 2716, to pull the longer and more heavier excursions on Southern system. In November 1991, 630 was taken out of service and put into storage when the TVRM, or Tennessee Valley Railroad Museum, was restoring another consolidation, this consolidation being U.S. Army 610, not to be confused with Texas and Pacific 610. In 1999, Norfolk Southern donated 630 to the TVRM, and 2 years later, in 2001, the locomotive started another restoration. This restoration cost almost $800,000. This was one of the most extensive steam locomotive overhauls, as it required repairs to its frame, running gear, and boiler. And those repairs were very severe. 630 was also given a new tender to replace her original tender, which was severely deteriorated. The locomotive returned to operating service on March 14, 2011, and participated in the 21st Century Steam Program instituted by Norfolk Southern. In 2012 and 2013, 630 visited the North Carolina Transportation Museum in Spencer, North Carolina, to pull excursions from Spencer to Barber, North Carolina, partake in photo charters, and even pull the museum's on-site passenger train. By late 2015, Southern had officially concluded their steam program, although 630 was not affected by this change. Today, 630 is still operational and pulls passenger excursions on the TVRM, alongside with 4501. Sometimes, 630 will even double head with 4501, whether it be for photo charters or to pull the Somerville Steam Special, going from Chattanooga, Tennessee to Somerville, Georgia.